Not to be confused with Vorontsov Cave, Krubera Cave is the deepest known cave on Earth. It is located in the Arabika Massif of the Gagrinsky Range of the Western Caucasus, in the Gagra district of Abkhazia, a breakaway region of Georgia. The difference in the altitude of the cave's entrance and its deepest explored point is 2,197 aa plus or minus 820 meters. It became the deepest known cave in the world in 2001 when the expedition of the Ukrainian Speleological Association reached a depth of 1,710 am, which exceeded the depth of the previous deepest known cave, Lamprecht-Sofen, in the Austrian Alps, by 80 am. In 2004, for the first time in the history of speleology, the Ukrainian Speleological Association expedition reached a depth greater than 2,000 am, and explored the cave to a 2,080 am. Ukrainian diver Gennady Samukin extended the cave by diving in the terminal sump to 46 am depth in 2007 and then to 52 am in 2012, setting successive world records of 2,191 am and 2,197 am respectively. Krubera remains the only known cave on Earth deeper than 2,000 meters. Naming: Voronya Cave means crow's cave in Russian. This name was used as a slang name by Kiev speleologists during the 1980s due to a number of crows nesting in the entrance pit, and then remained in the literature and media as a second name for the cave. The original name Krubera had been assigned to the cave by Georgian speleologists who explored the entrance pit in 1960. This name was given after the noted Russian geographer Alexander Krubera. The name Krubera Cave thus has a priority. Location and background. The Arabika Massif, the home of Krubera Cave, is one of the largest high mountain limestone karst massifs in the Western Caucasus. It is composed of Lower Cretaceous and Upper Jurassic limestones that dip continuously southwest to the Black Sea and plunge below the modern sea level. To the northwest, north, northeast, and east, Arabika is bordered by the deeply incised canyons of Sandripsh, Kitchashara, Giga and Bzyb rivers. The Bzyb River separates Arabika from the adjacent Bzybsky Massif, another outstanding karst area with many deep caves, including the Snzhanajamat-Sonogo-Iljuzia system and Panchukina Cave. To the southwest, Arabika borders the Black Sea. The Arabika Massif is a prominent high central sector with elevations above the tree line at 1,800 to 1,900 am. This is an area of classical glacioclastic landscape, with numerous glacial trough valleys and cirques, with ridges and peaks between them. The bottoms of trough valleys and karst fields lie at elevations of 2,000 to 2,350 am. And ridges and peaks rise to 2,500 to 2,700 am. The highest peak is the peak of speleologists, but the dominant summit is a typical pyramidal horn of the Arabika Mount. Some middle to low altitude ridges covered with forest lie between the central sector and the Black Sea. A plateau-like middle altitude outlier of the massif in its south sector is Mamzdishka, with part of the plateau slightly emerging above the tree line. Among several hundred caves known in the Arabika Massif, 15 have been explored deeper than 400 am and 5 deeper than 1,000 am. Krubera Cave is located at 2,256 masl in the Ortobalagan Valley, a perfectly shaped, relatively shallow, glacial trough of the subcaucasian stretch, which holds the advanced position in the Arabika's central sector relative to the seashore. Since 1980, Ukrainian cavers have been undertaking systematic efforts in exploring deep caves in the Ortobalagan Valley, resulting in exploration of the Krubera Cave to its current depth and of the Arabika Jar system to depth of 1,110 am. The latter consists of Krubeshevskaya Cave and Genrakova Bezdna Cave. Another deep cave in the valley, located in its very upper part and explored by Moldavian and Ukrainian cavers is Burchilskaya Cave, 500 am deep. All large caves of the Ortobalagan Valley likely belong to a single hydrological system, connected to large springs at the Black Sea shore. The direct physical connection of Krubera Cave with the Arabika Jar system is a sound possibility, although not yet physically realized. Geology. The Ortobalagan Valley extends along the crest of the Burchilsky anticline, which gently dips northwest. The cave entrances are aligned along the anticlinal crest, but the caves are controlled by longitudinal, transverse, and oblique fractures and faults and comprise complex winding patterns in the plan view, remaining largely within and near the anticlinal crest zone. The caves are predominantly combinations of vadose shafts and steep meandering passages, although in places they cut apparently old fossil passages at different levels in Kubyshevska Jar and Krubera Caves, a 1,200 euro 1,240 am and a 980 euro 1,150 am in the non-Kubyshevska Jar branch of Krubera Cave, etc. The deep parts of Krubera display a more pervasive conduit pattern with a mixture of phreatic morphology, characteristic of the zone of high gradient floods, which can be up to 400 am above the low-flow water table, and vadose down-cutting elements that are observed even below the water table. The core part of the Arabika Massif is composed of the Upper Jurassic succession resting on the Bajocian porphyritic series, which includes sandstones, clays and conglomerates at the top, and tough sandstones, conglomerates and bruxia, porphyry and lava. The porphyritic series forms the non-karstic basement of Arabika, which is exposed only on the northern and eastern outskirts, locally in the bottoms of the Kitcha-Shara and Jiga river valleys. In the central part of Arabika the Cretaceous cover is retained only in a few ridges and peaks, but it lies intact through the low-altitude ridges to the southwest of the central part. There the Cretaceous succession includes Barremian and Aptiana Euro-Cenomanian limestones and Marley limestones with abundant concretions of black chert. The Upper Jurassic succession begins with thin-bedded Kimmeridgiana Euro-Oxfordian shitty limestones, marls, sandstones and clays, which are identified in the lower part of Krubera Cave. Above lies the thick Chthonian succession of thick-bedded limestones with marly and sandy varieties. Sandy limestones are particularly abundant through the upper 1000 am sections of deep caves of the Ortobalagan Valley. The tectonic structure of Arabika is dominated by the axis of the large subcaucasian anticline, with the gently dipping southwestern megaflank, complicated by several low-order folds, and steeply dipping northeastern flank. The axis of the anticline roughly coincides with the ridge bordering the Geological Valley to the north. Located on the southwestern flank of the major anticline is another large one, in which the crest is breached by the Ortobalagan Valley. There are several smaller sub-parallel anticlines and synclines farther southwest, between the Birchall Ridge and the coast. The plicative dislocation structure of the massif is severely complicated by faults, with the fault block structure strongly controlling both cave development and groundwater flow. Major faults of the subcaucasian orientation delineate several large elongated blocks that experienced uplift with different rates during Pliocene and Pleistocene. This had a pronounced effect on the development of deep groundwater circulation and of Krubera Cave in particular. Both longitudinal and transverse faults and related fracture zones play a role in guiding groundwater flow. The latter guide flow across the strike of major plicative dislocations, from the central sector toward the Black Sea. Hydrogeology, major onshore karst springs with individual average discharges of 1 to 2.5 am3 per second are located at altitudes ranging from 1 am to 540 am. Two of them are located in the shore area. These are Repro and Kolodnaja Reka. Two more major springs are located in the river canyons bordering Arabika to the east, Golubo Ozero in the Bzyb Canyon and Jegsky Vodopad in the Jiga Canyon. There are also several smaller springs in the Gagra town. Some boreholes located along the shore of the Black Sea yield karstic groundwater from depths of 40 euro 280 am below sea level. Other much deeper boreholes tap low salinity karstic waters at depths of 500 and 1,750 am in the Kashups Valley near Tsandripsh and 2,250 am near Gagra. This suggests the existence of a deep karst system and vigorous karst groundwater circulation at depth. Submarine springs are known in the Arabika area, emerging from the floor of the Black Sea in front of the massif. Shallow springs at depths of 5 euro 7 am can be reached by freedive near Tsandripsh. Canards reported submarine springs near the eastern part of Gagra at depth of 25–30 am, and Bochids and Maliva revealed submarine discharge at depths up to 400 am by hydrochemical profiling. Recently, an outstanding feature of the seafloor topography near Arabika has been revealed from a digital bathymetric map that combines depth soundings and high-resolution marine gravity data. This is a huge submarine depression in front of the Tsovkva River mouth, which has dimensions of about 5 9 km and a maximum depth of about 380 am. The Arabika submarine depression is a closed feature with internal vertical relief of about 120 am separated from the abyssal slope by the bar at a depth of about 260 am. It has steep northern and northeastern slopes and gentle south and southwestern slopes. Its formation is apparently karstic. Presently, this depression seems to be a focus of submarine discharge of the karst systems of Arabika. The speleological explorations and a series of dye tracing experiments conducted during the 1980s under the coordination of Alexander Klimchuk have radically changed previous notions of the hydrogeology of Arabika, revealed its outstanding speleological perspectives and strongly stimulated further efforts for exploration of deep caves. Traces injected in the Kubyshevskoye Cave and the Iljakina system were detected in the Kolodnaja Reka and Repro springs, proving groundwater flow to the south-southwest across major tectonic structures over a distance of 13–16 km as the crow flies. The tracer from Kubyshevskoye Cave was also detected in a borehole located between these two springs, which yields groundwater from a depth of 200 am below sea level. This has been interpreted as an indication of the connection of the cave with the submarine discharge. The large central karst hydrologic system, which encompasses most of the southeastern flank of the Arabika anticline, had been identified in this way. The system became the deepest in the world with its overall vertical range of about 2,500 am or even 2,700 am. Another tracer was injected in the Mskovskoye Cave and detected at the Jegsky Vodopad spring, indicating the presence of a karst hydrologic system comprising the northeastern flank of the Arabika anticline. No connections have been revealed with yet another major spring, Golubovo Ozero in the Bzyb River Canyon, although it apparently drains a large area of the eastern sector of the massif. It is not clear where Sama Cave drains to, Golubovo Ozero to the southeast or Repro to the southwest, at the shore. The results of the dye tracing tests demonstrated that groundwater flow is not subordinate to the fold structure but is largely controlled by faults that cut across the strike of major folds, and that the large part of the central sector of Arabika is hydraulically connected to the springs along the seashore and with submarine discharge points. Krubera Cave has an extremely steep profile and reveals a huge thickness of the Vados zone. The lower boundary of the Vados zone is at an elevation of about 110 am at low flow, which suggests a low overall hydraulic gradient of 0.007–0.008. Low TDS groundwater is tapped by boreholes in the shore area at depths of 40–280, 500, 1,750, and 2,250 am below sea level, which suggests the existence of a deep flow system with vigorous flow. Submarine discharge along the Arabika coast is reported at depths up to 400 am BSL. It is difficult to interpret these facts in terms of the development of karst systems controlled by contemporary sea level, or within the range of its Pleistocene fluctuations. In combination with the existence of the Arabika submarine depression, all these facts point to the possibility that karst systems in Arabika could have originated in response to the Messinian salinity crisis when the Black Sea could have almost dried up, as did the adjacent Mediterranean, where the dramatic sea level drop of 1,500 am is well established. Biology. The biocenosis of Krubera Voronja is composed of more than 12 species of arthropods of several groups, such as pseudoscorpions, spiders, opilians, crustaceans, springtails, beetles and dipterans. Krubera Voronja Cave is inhabited by endemic species, such as the springtails Anarigusta rudorata, Deuterophora kruberaensis, Sciopharia profundissima and Plutomerus autobalagonensis, discovered in the CAVEX team expedition of 2010. The last species listed is the deepest terrestrial animal ever found on Earth, living at 1,980 meters below the cave entrance. The beetle cat Hops cavicis inhabits Krubera Voronja Cave and also several caves around the Ortobalagan Valley. History of exploration. Early exploration. At the beginning of the 20th century, Arabika was visited by French speleologist Epamildeward Alfred Martel, who published several works about the massif. In 1909 a Euro-10 Russian caste scientist Alexander Krubera, a founder of the study in Russia, performed some field studies in Arabika. He published his observations in a series of Arabika-specific papers and several monographs. During the subsequent 50 years no special studies were undertaken of the karst and caves in the region, although the karst of Arabika was referred to in many works dealing with regional geology and hydrogeology. 1960s. In the early 1960s, Georgian speleologists led by El Mariushvili began exploring caves in the high sector of the massif. Among several other caves, they made the first exploration of an open-mouthed 60 am shaft in the Ortobalagan Valley and named it after Alexander Krubera. The first explorers were stopped by impassable squeezes at a 95 am in a meandering passage which led off from the foot of the entrance shaft. The cave remained largely neglected over next 20 years, although occasionally visited by cavers from various caving clubs. Before 1980 there were no caves deeper than 310 am known in Arabika. 1980s, the new epoch in cave explorations in the Arabika Massif began in 1980 when the Kiev Speleological Club, led by Alexander Klimchuk, started exploring caves there. They adopted an approach to cave search and exploration which included thorough investigations in a defined area and systematic testing of cave limits, through digging in boulder chokes and enlarging squeezes which had previously obstructed exploration. The Ortobalagan Valley had been selected as a primary focus for the Ukrainian efforts. This approach, followed in subsequent years by other caving clubs which joined exploration activity in different parts of Arabika, resulted in the discovery of many deep caves including 5 caves deeper than 1,000 am. In the Ortobalagan Valley, the Ukrainian cavers made breakthroughs in Krubera Cave at a 160 am and pushed it to a 1,110 am by 1986 through a series of massive boulder chokes. They broke through an impassable squeeze at a 120 am in Genrakova Bezdna Cave and eventually connected it to Krubeshevskaya at a 956 am in 1987. The resultant system has been named the Arabikskaya system. From 1982 onwards, the Kiev cavers started systematically working in Krubera Cave, located less than 200 meters from the Krubeshevskaya entrance, hoping to connect with the Arabikskaya system and increase its total depth by 60 am. Exploration progressed slowly because critically tight meanders between the pits required enormous amounts of work to widen them to a passable size. The cave was pushed to a 340 am during 1982–1987. 2 windows in a vertical shaft at depths of 220–250 am were documented on the cave map but remained unexplored. During this time the cave received its second, alternative name Voronja Cave, owing to the number of crows nesting in the entrance shaft. 1990s–early 2000s, the political and ethnic conflict in Abkhazia during 1992–94 resulted in instability and border problems which continued over subsequent years. This suspended speleological explorations in Arabika. Some stabilization of the situation in 1998 has since enabled a renewal of exploration effort to take place in the region. In 1999, the expedition of the Ukrainian Speleological Associations led by Yuri Kasyan made a major breakthrough in Krubera Cave by discovering and exploring 2 branches behind the windows at a depth of 220–250 am. These branches stretched in 2 different directions. The main branch was explored to a 740 am and then Kuibishevskaya branch to a 500 am. In 2000, the main branch was quickly pushed by the multi-stage expedition of the UKRSA in August to a 1,200 am and in September to a 1,410 am. In January 2001, the UKRSA Expedition explored the cave to a 1,710 am, making it the deepest cave in the world. For the first time in the history of speleology, the deepest cave in the world had been established outside of Western Europe. Since 2001, the Krubera explorations by the UKRSA have been undertaken within the frame of the multi-year project named The Call of the Abyss, coordinated by A. Klimkyuk, Y. Kasyan, G. Samukin and K. Markovskoy. Besides the Ukrainian speleologists, cavers from many countries such as France, Spain, Russia, Moldova, Bulgaria, United Kingdom, Ireland, Israel and Lithuania have taken part in different expeditions of the UKRSA. 2001 onwards, the major events in the exploration of Krubera Cave in subsequent years were as follows. 2001 August, the UKRSA expedition led by Yuri Kasyan. 4 underground camps established in the cave, in the main branch at a 500, a 1,200 and a 1,400 am, and in the Nikubyshevska Jar branch at a 500 am. Systematic inspection and probing of potential leads in the deep sections of the main branch. Climbing in the Lampretsofan tributary. Digging in the boulder choke and in Kuibishevskaya branch. 2003 August, the expedition of the Kiev Speleological Club and the CAVEX team. Tested and passed a sump at a 1,440 am, explored the post-sump section to roughly a 1,660 am, continued climbing in the Lampretsofan tributary. 2004 July, the CAVEX team started their separate explorations, beyond the UKRSA project, in Krubera Cave. Continued exploring the section beyond Sumper 1 at a 1,410 am and reached a next sump at depth claimed to be a 1,840 am. The depth at that point according to the subsequent UKRSA survey is a 1,775 am. August, the UKRSA expedition led by Nikolay Solovyov and Alexander Klimkyuk. In the main branch, surveyed the post-sump series, established a camp at a 1,640 am, discovered a lead to a new section and explored to a 1,840 am. Explored the Erzhgorodskaya series in the upper part of Krubera by climbing an 80 am high shaft in the Meandrikran. Continued working in the Kuibishevskaya branch. October, the UKRSA expedition led by Yuri Kasyan. In the main branch, discovered a lead into a new section beyond the Big Junction at a 1,790 am. Explored this section named Windows to a blind chamber called Game Over at a 2,080 am. The depth mark of 2,000 am had been passed for the first time in the history of speleology. 2005, Vibruya Euromarch, the UKRSA expedition led by Yuri Kasyan. In the main branch, continued exploring the Windows series where many side leads and several sumps were tested. A sump at a 1,980 am called Kvitka was passed by Nikolay Solovyov, and a continuation found behind it. July, the CAVEX team expedition explored the section beyond the Kvitka sump to a further sump called the Kapitana at a 2,140 am. August, the UKRSA expedition led by Nikolay Solovyov continued digging and broke through the boulder choke at a 500 am in the Kuibishevskaya branch, explored it to the next boulder choke at a 640 am. October, the UKRSA expedition led by Yuri Kasyan. The exploration beyond the Kvitka sump had been cancelled due to a sudden flood. Established a camp at a 1,960 am. Performed a verification survey to a 1,200 am by hydro-leveling to assess the precision of the standard UKRSA survey. Continued climbing in the Lampretsofan tributary to plus 210 am relative to the junction. 2006, Augusta-September, the UKRSA expedition coordinated by Yuri Kasyan. In the main branch the terminal sump called Dvor Kapitana was tested by Gennady Samukin to depth of 17 am, which extended the total depth of Krubera Cave to 2,158 am. In the Kuibishevskaya branch, a group led by Kirill Markovskoy broke through the boulder choke at a 6:40 am and explored a continuation to a 1004 am. 2007 January, the CAVEX team expedition performed a dive in the terminal of the Capitana sump and claimed it to reach a 30 am depth below the water table. However, characteristics of morphology of the underwater passage reported by the team were not confirmed by the subsequent exploration, and no safety line was found deeper than 16 am. Augusta-September, the UKRSA expedition led by Yuri Kasyan. In the main branch, Gennady Samukin dived the terminal of the Capitana sump for a length of 140 am and depth of a 46 am, which set the new depth for Krubera Cave at 2191 am. After an elbow at -35 am, the underwater passage continues to depth under steep angle. Also in the deep parts of the main branch, several side passages and sumps at various depths were explored. In a side branch which previously ended at a 1775 am by the Blue Lake sump, a series of air-filled passages was explored behind the sump, separated by 6 intermediary sumps. The farthest sump, Yantani, was explored for 130 am in length and 19.5 am in depth and continues. The deepest point in this branch has been reached at a 1841 am. In the Mkuibishevskaya branch, a group led by Kirill Markovskoy continued exploring new leads and extended the depth of this branch to a 1293 am. 2008 September, the UKRSA expedition led by Yuri Kasyan explored the Mkuibishevskaya branch to depth of 1390 am. An international scientific expedition towards the center of the Earth, led by Lithuanian Aidas Gudoritis, descended the main branch as far as a 1800 am, placing water-level loggers at siphons here and in the chamber of Soviet speleologists at a 1710 am. 2009, Augusta-September, the UKRSA expedition led by Yuri Kasyan further pushed the Mkuibishevskaya branch to a siphon at depth of 1557 am. The International Towards the Center of the Earth expedition led by Aidas Gudoritis returned to the main branch to collect data from water-level loggers, swap their locations and push exploration in the Spanish branch near Camp 1400. 2008 2009 data collected from 1710 am and 1800 am indicated that the sump levels rose in 2 distinct periods, continuously from July 2009 and with an isolated pulse in October 2008, both sumps reaching a maximum flood depth of 12 am. New logger locations at depths of 1800 am, 1980 am and 2140 am. 2010, Julia-August, the CAVEX team summer expedition led by Konstantin Mugin performed the first biospeleological studies in the Krubera Voronya Cave. The biospeleological studies led by the cave biologists Anna Sofia Ribolera and Alberto Sendra, provided the deepest subterranean arthropods of the Earth. August, during Towards the Center of the Earth expedition led by Aidas Gudoritis, a Lithuanian member of Enigma Caving Club Sola, Pankina, became the first woman to dive Kvitovka sump at 1980 am, and subsequently to descend to the Two Captains sump at a depth of 2140 am. Water level measurement results of 2009-2010, collected during this expedition, showed that the water level rose up to 228 am above the sump Two Captains during June 2010. Data logging devices were installed by Irish members of the expedition near to the entrance of the cave, to log surface conditions and enable correlation of data between surface and underground locations. Spanish branch exploration was completed and a limit was reached with 131 am total passage surveyed. 2012 August, a team of 59 spent 27 days exploring Krubera. Including members from 9 different countries, the team set up a series of camps underground. Ukrainian cave diver Gennady Samukin was responsible for reaching a new world depth record of 2,197 meters. See also, Geography of Georgia, Geography of Abkhazia, List of caves, Notes. References. Bibliography, Bochids, I.M., and Maliva, A.M. 1967. To the question of groundwater discharge into the Black Sea in the Gagra area. Trudy Laboratory Hydrogeologia Insinoi Geologia Gruzinskiego Politechnического Instytuta, 3, 33 €39. Canards, TZ 1972. Cast of the Arabika Massif. Metsi Araba, Tbilisi, 245p, Canards, TZ. 1979. Geology, Hydrogeology and Activity of Limestone Karst. Metsi Araba, Tbilisi, 232p, Klimchalk, AB 1984. On impact of the late Quaternary glaciations on the karst development of the Arabika Massif. Izvestia VGO, 116, 165 €170. Klimchalk, AB 1990. Karst circulation systems of the Arabika Massif. Pesheri, Inter-University Scientific Transactions, Perm University, 6 €16, Klimchalk, AB. 2006. The Deepest Cave in the World in the Arabika Massif and the Evolution of the Black Sea. Sfat, 2, 33 €36. Klimchalk, A. 1991. La Grotte del Massiccio di Arabica. La Rivista del CAI, 112, 1, 37 €47. Klimchalk, A.B. 2004. Krubera Cave, Georgia. In, Goon, J. Encyclopedia of Cave and Karst Science. New York, London, Fitzroy Dearborn Taylor and Francis Books. Klimchalk, A. and Kasjan, U. 2001. In a search for the route to 2,000 meters depth, the deepest cave in the world in the Arabika Massif, Western Caucasus. Nat. Spelial. Soc. News, 59. 252 €257. Klimchalk, A. and Kasjan, U. 2004. Krubera, Il Profondo Abasso del Mondo. La Rivista del CAI, 71 €75. Klimchalk AB and Kasjan UM 2006. Distribution of temperature in karst systems, data from deep caves of the Arabika Massif. Geologiczny Journal, 1, 180 €115, Kiev. Klimchalk, AB, Samukin, GV, and Kasjan UM 2008. The deepest cave in the world, Krubera and its hydrogeological and paleogeographic significance. Speleology and Karstology, 1, 100 €104. Simferopol. Kruber, AA 1911. Karabiyala and the Arabika Massif. Zemlyavidny, 18, 3. Kruber, AA 1912a. The Voyage to Arabika. Estestvozny I Geographia. Kruber, AA 1912b. From observations of karst in the vicinity of Gagra and Karabiyala. Zemlyavidny, 19. Martel, EA 1909. La carte da unregistered trademark as a Rus. Ch. 16, Le Massif de l'Arabica, Paris. Maruashvili, L.I., Tintilazov, Z.K., and Chanashvili, G.Z. 1961. The results of speleological explorations carried out in 1960 on the Arabika limestone massif. Izvestia NGSSR, XXVI. Maruashvili, L.I., Tintilazov, Z.K., and Chanashvili, G.Z. 1962. Karst and Ancient Glaciation in Arabika. Abstracts of papers of the second scientific session of speleologists. Tbilisi, ANGSSR. Maruashvili, L.I., and Tintilazov, Z.K. 1963. The results of the recent speleological explorations in the karstic belt of the western Georgia in 1957 1960. Zemlyavidny, November Ser. 6. Sendra, Alberto and Anna Sofia P.S. Ribolera. 2012. the world. A Euro unregistered trademark S. Deepest subterranean community, Krubera Voronja Cave. International Journal of Speleology, 41, 221-230. External links: Krubera Cave, the first 2000 m+ deep cave on Earth. Chronicle of Exploration, History of Exploration in the Arabika Massif, the 3D model of Krubera Cave, BBC coverage of the discovery, National Geographic article, New Scientist, World's Deepest Land Animal, International Journal of Speleology, the world. A Euro unregistered trademark S. Deepest subterranean community, Krubera Voronja Cave.